Hey guys, welcome to the Jury Duty podcast. We are your hosts. I am Lindsay, and that is my co host bestie, Kimberly, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
All I can hear right now is, I'm Stickly, like the late night Nickel.
Oh, yeah. The throwback. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I had my pen and it just reminded me of, you know how they do like the wand? Anyway, you guys don't hit my mic. You guys don't care about that. Anyway, welcome. If you are new here, we are so glad that you're here. We're happy to have you. If you are a return customer of ours, we love you just as much. Welcome back. We are your hosts, and today we are going to talk about something, guys.
Summer.
We're coming in on summer.
I'm in Northern Virginia, so it's summer sometimes, then it's winter, and then it's spring, then it's second summer. We're on like third summer right now, so next week I'll keep you posted.
Okay, some parts of the day are summer-ish, right? Okay.
It's always casual Wednesday here, though. It doesn't matter what season it is.
Oh, it's always sweatshirt season. Always.
It's always sweatshirts. You know what? Even in the summer, I will crank the air conditioning because my body doesn't regulate temperature very well, and still wear a hoodie in my house because I'm cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's necessary.
It's a necessary thing. So with my point with it being summer is we take vacations, we go on long trips. A lot of us have a list of books we may want to read. That list may have Harry Potter for the 5th time. You want to read something from a book club or something like that. Well, guys, I took the plunge for all of us and I read This Is Our Story by Wendi Adelson.
I'm trying not to laugh. It's a treat, guys. It's a real treat.
It's something. So I was conflicted because, so if you guys don't know the story, Dan Markel was murdered in 2014. He was married to Wendi Adelson. They had a pretty contentious divorce. Wow, that's hard to say right now.
Usually words are hard for me, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just your turn, that's all.
They were struggling through a divorce. 2 young boys. They lived in Tallahassee. She hated Tallahassee. She wanted to move to Miami with her family. He said no because he didn't want to be separated from his kids. So her stupid family hired a bunch of thugs to kill him. And they have been prosecuted one by one for this murder.
And so Dan Markel was a lawyer.
He was, in fact, he was a lawyer professor.
And his wife, Wendi, is also a lawyer.
Yes.
Ish.
She kind of.
I don't know if she practices, but she's also an author.
She's also, yeah. Yeah. If that's what, I mean, aren't we all, though?
You know, when we had Josh on the show and he's like, wow, and you put podcast host at the end, that's a long list of things. Yeah, at the end of Wendy's intro, it's and author.
Yeah, that's the insignificant
Not her primary hustle, and you can tell.
Yeah,
that would be my primary hustle and area of expertise, though, so I am very ready for this.
Yeah, so through all of this, and by the way, if you want to know anything related to Dan Markel, go to Surviving the Survivor. Our friend Joel has covered this top to bottom, bottom to top.
Left to right, up to down.
All the things. I read this book. I didn't pay for it.
It's free.
I didn't steal it. Someone had loaded it on this like archive website that it's almost like a library. You can like you make a login and you borrow books. It took me like a couple of hours of reading. I think about the 20-minute mark, I was like, someone please tell me this isn't going to be a massive waste of my time. But I did it for you guys.
Just a minor waste. Just a minor waste of your time.
Yeah. I did it for you guys because you guys
baby size.
You guys want to know the tea about this book because they bring this book up in some of these trials. And why is that? Let's talk about it. Okay. So I'm going to give a couple of little snippets and kind of bring it all in together. So just hang in there. Hang in there with me. I read this book, so just be nice and hang in there. Okay. So back to what we were talking about. Wendi Adelson lived in Tallahassee with her husband. She hated it there. He did well there. He liked it there. She was like, this is too, I don't know, not a small town, but like it just wasn't her vibe. It's too like country.
It
Right?
wasn't cosmopolitan enough for Wendi.
No, she's a Miami girl. Her family lives in Miami. She was raised in Miami. Like that is her vibe through and through. That's what she wants.
She's a South Florida girl, and if you know Florida, it means the more south you go, the more north it gets.
100%. So she writes this book. It was published in 2011. Insert book here.
Insert book here.
So, side note, the cover of this book is actually Wendi. And it is Wendi. Her dad took this picture.
I'm going to pop that up on the screen in a second, but I didn't know that.
That's Wendi. So she in 2011 writes this story. It's three people's story, and they all converge together. I'm struggling describing this because it's such a terrible book. So, you know how like you read a good book and like the author goes into detail with the kind of person they are, certain circumstances, like they make you invested in this character, right?
Well, I will save my scathing comments for afterwards, but an inconsequential story that's poorly developed will guarantee that no one's going to finish your book or make snap judgments about your ability to tell stories to begin with. And plot goes nowhere. Character development doesn't happen. It's two-dimensional. And there's poor command of the creative writing technique that would render your writing unable to be followed and does not pop off the page and does not show instead of tell. Am I close?
Yeah, you are. Okay. Yes, thank you for that.
I taught creative writing 101 to college students.
Wendi was not in your class, was she?
No, I would have harshly graded her papers.
Well, when I was talking to Kimberly about this, guys, I was like, it's like, okay, so her book is about, there's Lily, who is an attorney in this made-up town that sounds, I don't know, just like Tallahassee, but it's not called Tallahassee.
Does Lily end with an I?
No.
Okay. All right, Wendi with an I.
I know. I was disappointed. Anyway, and then you have this story of this younger girl who comes to America with her friend, and then you also have this young adult lady that comes to Atlanta to work and make money. She wants to be an actress. And all of their stories develop and they all end up meeting. Lily helps because she is an attorney that helps with victims of sex trafficking. Now, let me say this. It reminds me of if I were to give a 7th grader who has no knowledge of really what sex trafficking is and was like, write a story about someone that's a part of sex trafficking, like make some sort of creative writing on something. Not that I would ask a 7th grader to do that. Let's just be clear.
Did you know there's a review of this book on Goodreads and it was 1 star and it says from Trisha, I won an award in the 5th grade for a book that was more eloquently written. The language is sophomoric, if not elementary. I have no idea why I read this.
Thank you, Trisha.
Yeah.
Thank you. and they would be like, "You do this, you dumb idiot," and it's like, oh, and so I know it's so bad. There's a point to all this. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make is that it's horribly written, and Lily, as she's developing, as Wendy is developing Lily's character, it's very, um, I don't like this town, but I love my husband, and I'm kind of really sinking myself into work, and that's kind of a little, it's what's saving us, and he's so sweet, and this work means a lot to me. I know.
A piece of my soul is dying inside of me.
I know. And so the long story, the 243-page story of it, these three people, there's two females that are getting sex trafficked, and then there's a attorney Lily. Their paths collide. Lily helps these two, blah, blah, blah. And what's interesting is this book has come up in these trials. Now, why do you think that is, Kimbo?
Because it appears to be, and she has gone on record to say that she's loosely made it semi-autobiographical.
Yes. So there was actually recently, like 2 weeks ago, a hearing for Miss Donna. And if you haven't watched our stuff on Donna,
go watch it.
Go watch
I'll
it.
do the magic pop-up thing. Continue.
Yeah. So they want to use this book, the prosecution, the state wants to use this book in impeachment. So not that it's evidence, but if there was needing to be some sort of impeachment done, they want to make sure like the judge is good with them using that. The defense for Donna has said, this isn't an autobiography.
It's creative nonfiction. There is a fine line, but emphasis on the nonfiction.
Yes. Nonfiction. And Donna's attorneys were like, this book was terrible.
Maybe and that's Donna why they don't want to use it.
And Donna was like, made a little face. Not my kid's stuff. It would never be bad. Never. So anyway, Kimberly, should this be used for impeachment?
I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that done. But then again, what mastermind legal entity am I that I would be able to know that? But I really just kind of want them to, because I want this read aloud in a court record. I want to hear excerpts. It's like the Lori Vallow emails about James and Elena getting busy. I feel like I need to hear it, but I don't want to hear it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that's like, it's something you kind of want to see. And then when you see it, you're like, you know.
Well, Edgar Allan Poe, he actually gave a lot of instruction on how to write poetry. And he said that every word you write must contribute to your purpose. Well, here we go. The purpose. Here we are. In that vein, I'm not sure what her purpose was here, but she's certainly no Poe. But it's giving 50 Shades, where every other word was her inner goddess was dancing. I'm like, I could make this a drinking game. Very quickly stop that, because I was wasted in one chapter, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Well, so here's my thought on it. So this book was 2011. They got divorced in 2014. They had 2 young kids. She was in Tallahassee. It was kind of known that she wasn't like really thrilled to be there. And I don't think having a creative, I use that term very loosely, outlet to handle what you're going through, your emotions, your thoughts, or whatever. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. My question is this necessary even for impeachment? I kind of don't think it is. I'm kind of with the defense on this. Granted, let me just say this before you type and hit submit. I think she's guilty. Okay.
Oh, like, absolutely. Which one, Donna or Wendi?
All of them. I think they're all guilty. I think they all All of
All of
them.
you.
I have my red pen.
All of you are guilty.
Okay, let me just say that. However, we are the Jury Duty podcast. We give credit when credit is due. We try to see both sides, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
yeah. You know the drill.
You know the drill. You guys have been here before, and if you're new, then now you know the drill. I don't think
there's a test later.
There's a test later. That's why I have my red pen out. I know.
I agree with you, though.
I don't think it's necessary. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm open to hearing if I'm wrong.
I don't think it's necessary. I think what'll end up happening is it will become sort of that green chicken chili enchilada laughing point. Like, oh, we're going there. We're doing this. Like, this ship has sailed, but if we add this, it's going to be more like a tugboat being held together with sticks and spit. I feel like it's just extra. I think that if they need to add this, that makes me question what other evidence they don't have that they feel like this is necessary. But, I don't know. It's weird.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. So if this is being brought in as to impeach her or someone, like, isn't there enough evidence and actual evidence that would be more important? I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Did you just drop your red pen?
I threw it behind me.
Okay.
I just flung it. What was that?
Well, about the writing, though, because I can't help myself. There's a reason.
Go off.
There is a reason that bona fide authors have editors. I have not read this book. That's because many writers are, and I know this from personal experience, incapable of objectively revising their own work for flaws, plot holes, syntax, grammar, flow, mechanics, whatever. Not every good idea can be properly fleshed out on the page. That's why editors exist. Was there an editor for this book, or was it self-published?
I don't even know. Honestly, like, you don't want to be the only person that oversees yourself, right?
Well, right. Especially in a creative outlet, you need subjective, non-biased, completely not disinterested, but people that don't have a vested interest in whether you sink or swim. Mm-hmm. But, if you're an editor, you obviously want something to swim because, it makes you a good editor. But somebody that's not really vested in the outcome to be able to say, yeah, let's redline that. Like, it's a whole process. Editing and revision sucks. I could never be an editor, but I am a writer. I've been published in, literary journals. I hate revising and editing my own work. And I probably have started like 15 different books that I never finish because I know that unless it's going to be a short story, I'm not fleshing that out and I'm not going to have the wherewithal to cohesively put that together. But there's also a reason that lawyers are not writers. Some of them are very well-spoken, but ask a lot of lawyers if they were going to write a book, if they were going to write it themselves or have a ghostwriter or have a collaborator. And almost all of them have collaborators because it's not their gym jam.
Well, yeah.
So,
well,
I have more, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, so I have pulled up. She did have a publisher, and about her, it says Wendi Adelson is a clinical professor and director of medical legal partnership at Florida State University College of Law.
Oh, that sounds very important. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing such as like, there are some people who have book smarts, but they don't have a lot of creativity, Are you Googling?
I'm looking up the like, I guess I know what I guess the clinical threw me off for a second because that sounds like a really fancy word for Wendi Adelson that I don't think that she's earned. Like a clinical and a theoretical. Yeah, there's a difference. A clinician, we'll just call them clinicians because we're going with it. That's a practical. Mm-hmm. That's a practical method of teaching. Theoretical would be what you would typically,
right.
But I still have a hard time seeing her supervise any kind of client representation scenarios hands-on. She can't really even handle herself in police interrogations in the first 30 seconds. I don't know. My family probably did it, but they didn't do it. Like, I cannot imagine a planet on which she is a good teacher. But continue.
Yeah. My family probably did it, but don't be mad.
But like, don't get them in trouble. Anyone but them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that it reads very like
We
I
all
don't
puff
want
up
your
our.
life,
I don't want
like
your life.
I
Yeah,
don't want your
moms.
life.
I don't want
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I kept hearing as I was
Miss
reading it.
Davis, will you go to prom with me?
Yeah.
Pedro.
Yeah.
Okay, we're off.
Yeah.
We're full
We're
tilt
all,
going.
yeah. Anyway, no, but okay, so here's the thing, right? So we have this stupid story, but we also have a very serious case that's happening, and they're kind of wanting to converge the two, which clearly this book is not an autobiography. They want it for impeachment. Impeachment how is my ask? Like that is my question. Like is it necessary? If I'm a juror like we said, am I going to get to the point where like why is this necessary?
Sorry, I'm just so hung up on this whole biography that they get. And in any case,
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's not a biography.
it feels like a reach. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I'm not a lawyer. It feels like a reach, though. A
Yeah. Well,
weird one.
here's my two train of thoughts on this and then I'll be done rambling cuz you probably are all mad that we've been rambling about this. So my first thing is I think this was some sort of quote unquote creative outlet for her for being somewhere she didn't want to be. It's not an autobiography, it's just a poorly written situational story. My other thing is if she is also an author, that kind of adds to kind of what you touched on with about Josh of adding that to he's a bop 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 bop.
Right.
That kind of had her over Dan. Like I'm a published author of this story, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Doesn't count if you self if you say, "Can you publish this for me?" It's very different. Very different for a publishing house to come to you, like a random house to say, "We want to we like
Yeah.
your manuscript, we want to publish it." That's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Published author. Anyone
I
that
know.
writes on the internet at this point is anything, comments, that's published authoring at this point. But fiction is not a reliable source of truth. So I don't know how that's going to be used for impeachment because impeachment is about factual misrepresentation. And I don't know how that fits in.
Well, I can
Confused.
take a picture of myself and say that I am a supermodel, but that don't make it true. So,
Stop.
anyway,
Work it.
no. All right, guys.
The last thing I'll say. Okay, here, how about this? Writing what you know is the cardinal rule of creative writing. I'll leave that there.
Mm.
You write the best from your own experience because you have the memory recall, you have the sensory recall, the emotive recall to bring those experiences back to life. It's the difference between telling a lie and telling the truth. You often recall details when you're telling the truth. When you lie, you have to remember the lie. So, if you're writing what you know, which seems to be the only rule that she followed, I'll just leave that there.
And one more thing.
Okay, I'm done now because I will go on all night long.
About creative writing.
Yes.
Remember, okay, so a little peek behind the curtain of some of Kimberly and my conversations. I was like, I just started reading this book, and I told her the first line, which was something along grandma says don't share underwear with people. Let that sink
no,
in.
I'm gonna search. I need the direct quote.
You're gonna quote it
Because it was bad. Grandma always warned, never share your underwear. That's gonna be a page turner, you guys.
Don't read this book. Don't read it. Take it off of your summer reading list. I hope this actually does not encourage you to read it because I know the insides are like, if it's that bad, I gotta look. I gotta look.
But there are some really good reviews of this book, and I'm not going to trash a book I haven't read. But if I can play call this book here now, I don't need to read it. I already know that it's not going to be of the quality that satisfies my need for literary adventures. But read it, don't read it, form your own opinion. Leave it in the comments. Leave us a book review here so we can see what you think, but do not recommend.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us. I know that we rambled, we yacked and yacked.
I know. Y'all
and
you either love it or hate it, but at the end of the day, you don't have to watch it. We love that you are. Not saying leave, but like you don't have to tell us you don't want to listen to us talk. That's the point of this. The whole point is us talking. But if you're nice about it, we're all right. We're good. You can let us know. But
humans are interesting.
We're not offended if you want us to stop yakking, but it's hit or miss. Sometimes the yak is good. Sometimes the yak is not good.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Like, we are podcasting about stuff that is interesting to us. We're also friends. We want to talk to you. You guys are a part of the cooler talk, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're all engaged. So, anyways, thank you for being here. Please do all the YouTubey things. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Come hang out with us on our social medias. Leave us a comment. Tell us what is on your summer reading list.
Yeah, I do need a book.
Please don't say it's an Adelson something. Because we'll kick you out. I'm just kidding. We won't do that.
We won't kick you out, but we might judge you a little bit. Just like a little bit. No, we won't do that either because we're too nice.
No, we're too nice. It's okay.
Nice. And we don't care we won't yuck your yum, and we don't care who you are, what color you are, where you came from, if you're purple, polka dotted, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, tall, short. We just love all of you.
Look,
equally.
I know that we have yucked this book. If this is your version of yum, please let us know why.
Yeah.
Please, tell me why you like this so much.
Yeah, not to argue. I just genuinely curious.
I want to know, like, what captured you. Like, is it because of where Wendy's story is right now and like having this book? Let me know. I know.
My red flag, it got stuck to me and I was afraid to lift I was like, oh. No red flags to you. Sorry.
No, yeah. Anyway, we're done. Or I'm done. Come back if you want to. We would love to have you. Kimberly, please.
Make good choices. That's all. Make good choices. Yeah. And we hope to see you again next time.
Don't be a Wendi. Or a Donna.
Don't be a Wendi or a Donna.
Or a
Karen. Or a Lori. God, okay. Make good choices.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Start over.
We're so stupid.
So extra.
We have no business being on the internet.